Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. You've heard me say before, these are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great. I really recommend them to you. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors if you're not already using them. You're going to be very glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to share your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We'd like to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you will use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results, communication. Their athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com to get started. That's it, homecampus.com. We want to say thanks to SnapRaise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and came away disappointed? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school. Tremendous success. I'm telling you, it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. That's snapraise.com. We'd like to thank Huddle. You've heard me say before, as a football coach, I used Huddle for years. But when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our kids loved the videos. Our parents loved the streaming, but there is so much more. Go to huddle.com. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We'd like to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. We want to say thank you to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others. And it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're completing your master's work, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We'd like to say thanks to our good friends at Gipper. You know, your students are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will have you creating world-class content in seconds. Don't forget to mention the podcast. That's Gipper.com. And we'd like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. You know, my school, we use surveys for everything, kids, coaches, parents, you name it. And the information that came back was overwhelmingly positive. Sure, there were some squeaky wheels, and it gave us a chance to attend to those. But having all of that data from all of your constituents is tremendously valuable, especially when you're meeting with that frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to Tennessee today, and we're going to be visiting with Reid McFadden. Reid is the director of athletics, also a longtime coach at Currey Ingram Academy. If that name sounds familiar, regular listeners of the podcast will recognize that that's where our good friend Kelly Fish was the AD for many years. Now she's the assistant head of school, and Reid's directing the program. So Reid McFadden, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here with you today.
Well, again, you and I were talking. We should have done this a long time ago. Reed's going to tell us more about his school. It has kind of a unique calendar, but they've been going for a long time, maybe even longer than, than most programs. But Reed, we always like to start out and let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up, maybe take us up through your own high school and college days, and then we'll take a break. But what's the Reid McFadden origin story?
Man, the Reid McFadden origin story. Well, I grew up in Anderson, Indiana, just northeast of Indianapolis. I grew up in a basketball-heavy state, so played basketball. Actually played a ton of sports growing up, but basketball was always my favorite sport. It was the thing that I did. I learned to count going to my high school's basketball games when I was super young, and my dad would ask me if our team hit a two or a three, how many points would that be? So I learned everything around basketball growing up. When I got to high school, I kind of focused in on basketball and soccer. Those were my two main sports. Loved both of those. And then graduated from Highland High School and ended up spending a couple years down at Palm Beach Atlantic University, my freshman and sophomore year, and then transferred to Belmont University, where I graduated. Didn't play collegiate sports. Part of my story kind of led me away from athletics for a few years, but I really enjoyed connecting and had some opportunities to kind of reintroduce myself to athletics through some coaching opportunities, and ended up going from Belmont to Currey Ingram, where I am, and have been for the last 16 years.
Wow. Let's go all the way back to Indiana. Growing up, was it small town, suburbs? Was there a basketball hoop in the driveway or out in the street at the neighbor's house? What are some of your memories of those days?
It was a very small town. There was not much to do besides basketball in my hometown. So we would go to the park and play. I had a hoop in the driveway. There was lots of basketball. We would stay out at the park till late at night playing. And it was what we did for fun. It's all we knew was basketball and connecting through sports. One of the cool things about my backyard, little fun fact, there were four trees in my backyard that were set up kind of like a baseball diamond, and the kids in my neighborhood would come over and play wiffle ball in our backyard. So that was kind of the cool thing outside of basketball. We had a wiffle ball field in the backyard, so it was a lot of fun growing up in Anderson.
When I was a little kid, we had this biggest yard in the neighborhood, and we didn't do baseball for some reason, but it was tackle football, and third, fourth graders out there just mauling each other. Um, you mentioned in high school, basketball is your thing, but you also did some soccer. I'm a lot older than you, so this was not a thing when I was in high school. Was club sports a thing when you were growing up? Did you ever get any pressure? Hey Reed, you should give up that soccer thing, or the soccer coach was saying, hey Reed, you should play on our travel soccer team. Anything like that for you?
Yeah, so AAU was a huge thing for me in basketball. I got into soccer a little bit later. A group of senior boys encouraged me to play soccer my freshman year. So I was introduced to soccer a lot later than most people. So I didn't really get into the club soccer scene, but AAU basketball I did since probably I was in second or third grade. It was a big deal in Indiana. And so I played pretty much 9, 10 months of the year, moving from AAU to high school team sports. So that was kind of my story in the summers, in the fall, in the spring. I was doing AAU basketball, traveling around the state, traveling around the country, playing with our basketball team.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here since you opened that door. As athletic directors, we're always encouraging kids to do multiple sports. You obviously, I'm going to assume, obviously, had a great experience as a single sport athlete, year round, same sport. Um, how do you um, handle the topic of, kids that want to do, or let me rephrase that, the parent that wants their kid to do
Yeah.
year-round sport, as opposed to maybe the kid that comes to you. If the kid comes to us, hey, we're all for it. But
Yeah.
how do you handle that? Promoting what I think most of us think is a positive thing, multiple sports, but accommodating, I guess would be the best word, the single sport family.
Yeah, well, let me touch on that just from a couple different angles. Growing up, I played pretty much every single sport. I was not a big tackle football player. I didn't really do that growing up, but from tennis to baseball, ran cross country and track. So I was fortunate to have a lot of different experiences in a lot of different sports, and I think that helped me to be a much better all-around athlete growing up. And so up until my freshman year of high school, I was playing a different sport pretty much 4 seasons of the year. And so once I got to high school, I realized if I wanted to be better, if I wanted to earn the playing time and earn the respect of teammates and coaches, I needed to focus in a little bit more. But I still did 2 sports in high school, soccer and basketball. And then, so now from an athletic administrator standpoint, I will encourage students to play multiple sports. Our sports seasons do not overlap here at Currey Ingram. So we want our students to be involved in a fall, winter, and spring sport. So we structure our sports seasons to where they can do that. And we even encourage them to be a part of the arts department, whether it be our rock band, whether it be our theater department. And we work closely with the directors of those programs to enable our students to be involved in multiple extracurricular programs because we really value them being well-rounded students, not just athletes, but we really value the student-athlete experience for all of our kids here at Curry Ingram.
Oh, that's so great to hear. Um, let's talk a little bit about your college experience. You mentioned that you didn't play, collegiate sports, which is fine, but, what are some of those memories for your journey that, helped get you on that path to becoming a coach and an AD?
Yeah. Well, I would say most athletic directors and coaches that I've met have gotten into coaching because of a positive experience with a coach. I was not fortunate to have a great experience with coaches in high school. I had a great soccer coach, which kind of laid a decent foundation for me on what I could be. But being that basketball was a strong sport and a strong influence for me, did not have a great high school basketball coach experience. So when I graduated high school, I kind of said I want nothing to do with athletics. I want nothing to do with basketball. And when I got to Palm Beach Atlantic, I was fortunate enough. I happened to just be in our rec center one day, and I had a couple seniors that were in playing some pickup ball, and they needed one more guy to finish out so we could scrimmage. So they asked me to play, and I was very fortunate to form a really close bond and relationship with that group of guys. Played intramurals with them, got connected with Young Life, which is kind of where I got my foot in the door to start coaching. When I was down there through Young Life, got connected with a school down there and coached soccer. And somebody really encouraged me to lean in because they saw a gift that I was really good at working with students, developing relationships, and they encouraged me to get into coaching.
All right, very cool. Yeah, that's again, sorry that you didn't have that great experience, but we talk about people can serve as examples.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're good examples, sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
Um, let's go and take a break. We're visiting today with Reid McFadden. He's the director of athletics and longtime basketball coach at Currey Ingram Academy. That's in Tennessee. We are going to come back, so please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We'd like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or to show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. They're also a great way to tell your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. That website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And if you go to hometownticketing.com, their team will show you how to set up and sell tickets online, not just for athletic events, but things like school plays and concerts, school dances, even graduation. And here's the best part: every school is assigned a dedicated client success manager that's going to provide you hands on support every step of the way. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest is Reid McFadden. He's the longtime coach, and currently he's the athletic director at Currey Ingram Academy, and that's in Franklin, Tennessee. Reid, you took us on your journey through high school and on into college, and talk about those post-college experiences and how they helped lead you to Currey Ingram Academy.
Yeah. So coming out of my college experience, like I mentioned, I graduated from Belmont. Um, while I was at Belmont, I was fortunate enough to get connected to a group called Sports Servants. And through that group, I really started to get connected a little bit more and plugged in and learning what a coach really does. We traveled to Belize several summers, had several trips down there. And through that experience, I was able to meet Dick Klausner, who was the soccer coach at Montgomery Bell Academy here in Nashville, and really leaned into him on what a great coach could be. Saw that he was very relational, saw that he was in it for the right reasons, and had his purpose very squarely over his goal. And so through that, started to think, hey, I may want to be a coach. Towards the end of my Belmont experience, I became a barista. I love coffee, and was working at a barista trying to figure out, okay, where can I get connected with a school and how can I start coaching? And a mentor of mine encouraged me just to reach out to several schools in the area, just kind of cold call and see if there were any availability with any sport at any level that I could just get my foot in the door. And I reached out to over 20 schools, and one school reached back out to me, and it was Kevin Carter, who was the athletic director here at the time. He called back and said, "We have one spot available." It was middle school girls basketball. And I'm thinking, I don't really know a whole lot about middle school students. I know even less about middle school girls, but I want to coach. I love basketball. So I took the position. I started in October of 2008 and have never looked back. It was a great experience. I had a group of 8 girls. We got all the way to the championship game of our conference tournament. And it was a whirlwind of an experience, but I learned so much about what it meant to be relatable as a coach, what it meant to really develop not only in basketball, but begin to develop the student for who they were as human beings, not just as an athlete. And then the next year, I was fortunate enough to coach the varsity girls basketball team, and had a great experience with them, continuing to learn on about the social emotional development of student athletes. And then the next year, I started coaching the boys, and I've been the boys head coach at the varsity level for the last 14, 15 years.
Boy, there seems to be a pattern here. I did an interview recently, and they also started their coaching career with middle school girls, as I did. And there's so many memories flooding back. You're a basketball player. You knew the game from that perspective. There's an expression that we use a lot. You don't know what you don't know. What was
Yes.
something that you found out? Because we all do. That when you became a coach, what was something you found out that you didn't know?
I found out I didn't know a lot. I feel just growing up in Indiana and being around the game of basketball, I feel like I knew the X's and O's a lot. I was given gifts of a couple X's and O's books and things, but I think it was just the interaction and the relational development that I was really had no idea that it was that important. But I was blessed my second year of coaching. My assistant coach, Nick Broadhead, that year, a good friend of mine, we were preparing for a conference tournament game, and we're shooting free throws, and he's rebounding for one of the girls. And I overhear a conversation, and he's asking one of the girls about the reality show, The Bachelorette. And I look at Nick in the water break, and I said, "What in the world are you asking them about the Bachelorette for in the middle of an intense practice when we're getting ready for a playoff game?" And he said, "Reid, do you want them to trust us and know that we care about them and trust them in those intense moments in the games? If they don't know that we care about them, they're not going to show any care in the game." And that's when it really kind of shifted for me that, okay, it's more than just the X's and O's. It's about getting to know the student athlete, and even in the small moments, understanding what they care about. The phrase, the kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that has stuck with me. I repeat that phrase often as a coach, as an athletic administrator. And that moment was the big shift for me that, okay, I really need to lean in more to the human development side than the athlete development side. And I had really no idea that it was going to be that important at that moment in time.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. It's so true, and it's amazing how many coaches, it takes us. I know it
Yeah.
took me. It takes us a while to figure that out. That's great. You can have that moment.
Yeah.
Although, come on, the Bachelorette, there could have been could have been something else there. Um, you had a very good run as the basketball coach at Currey Ingram. We're going to talk about your role as an AD in the next segment, but what were the events that kind of led to you, as I like to say, going to the other side of the desk?
Yeah.
Obviously, Kelly Fish, took a new position, but were you thinking about becoming an AD? Had there ever been discussions? How did that all play out for you?
Yeah, well, in all honesty, I was 3 years here at Curry Ingram as a coach, and served as the assistant AD under Kevin Carter. And when Coach Carter left, I applied to be the AD here at Curry Ingram. And it came down to me and Kelly got the job over me. And I really wanted it. I thought that I was ready for the job. But I am so thankful that I did not get it. I was not ready for the job. And I could not be more thankful to have spent 11 years as Kelly's assistant. I learned a ton about leadership. I learned a ton about organization. I am very blessed. For those of you that know Kelly, she's an outstanding leader, an incredible friend. And so that really laid the foundation, and I was able to watch her lead and learn from her to really prepare me for the time that she stepped into a new role for me to step into this role as director of athletics.
Well, everything you said about Kelly's absolutely true, but she and I talk, yeah, a little bit, and she speaks very, very highly of you too. So, kudos for the job you're doing there.
Well, thank you.
Let let's go and take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to ask Reid to share a little bit about Curry Ingram Academy and some of the things that he's particularly proud of about their program, about the program that he directs. So let's take that break, but we're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thank you to Home Campus for their support. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling or rosters, results, communication. Their student athlete eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. It Home Campus does all of these things and more, and it does them better and it does them faster than other platforms. And to get started, all you have to do is go to homecampus.com. That's it, homecampus.com. We want to say thank you to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with great success. I'm telling you, it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. That's snapraise.com. And we want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. But when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Reid, one of the things we try to do with the podcast is this idea of sharing best practices. So I'm going to put you on the spot again. You've been at Currey Ingram for a long time. You served under two, I would say, great athletic directors, and now you're the AD. What are some things at the Currey Ingram program that you're particularly proud of that you can share with our listeners?
Yeah, so we're pretty unique athletic program. We are not a part of the state association at the middle school or upper school level. So we schedule independently. And we do that because of kind of our admissions. We have rolling admission, so it's hard for students to come in, get their academics need met if they're transitioning out. It's just a better fit for us versus being a part of the state association. And with that said, our academic mission really tends to lend itself to us needing to support students and meeting their needs. We are in a no-cut, or what I like to call an all-inclusive athletic program. So any student that wants to participate in a sport, we encourage. Whether they're trying a sport for the first time, whether they're trying to go play collegiately, we often see teams that have a mix of both of those. Just a couple years ago, we had a basketball team that we had a junior come out who had honestly never watched a game of basketball in his entire life. And he was playing on the same team as a student that was trying to go play collegiately. And so that's such a unique thing. You don't see that in many other programs, but I really believe in what we do. We have an outstanding coaching staff that knows our students. The majority of our coaches are our own faculty and staff, so they know the student during the academic day. They know what their needs are after school, and so they can really dive in and meet the needs in their practices and games. Our participation numbers are extremely high. We have about 75% of our students in the middle and upper school level participate in one or multiple sports. Our mission in Mustang Athletics is to connect students with caring coaches. We believe wholeheartedly in making sure that our coaches know their why, are purpose-driven. We're an inside-out initiative school, so all of our all of our coaches have transformational purpose statements and are connected to their why. And so we really believe in being purpose-driven and truly educational based.
Wow. Very cool stuff. It's got something caught my throat. It's always so cool to hear about, the mission and this intentionality, but it's also something else to see it brought out in practice. Is talking the talk, but you guys are walking the walk. Um, as you um, look at the Currey Ingram program, obviously it's thriving, things are working well. What are some things that you would like to see in the coming seasons or years to, make it even better? We talk about good to great. What are some goals that you have right now to take a tremendously successful program and make it even better?
Yeah, that's a very timely question. Thanks for asking. We just wrapped the quality program assessment cohort. I wrapped that up last May. And coming out of the QPA project, we're really going to lean in and develop our next kind of 5-year strategic plan. We just, in fact, had a coaches meeting yesterday morning. We're going to partner with our coaches, myself and our assistant athletic director, Gabe Garcia, and really trying to define what the next 5 to 7 years is going to look like for our program, and really leaning towards creating an environment and experience where our coaches, our students, and our community really feel seen, valued, and heard for who they are. And we believe if we can create an experience and environment of safety and of positivity, we know that we will take what we have right now, which is a great athletic program, and make it even greater. So we're really leaning into evaluating the QPA, kind of reviewing what the evaluators kind of gave us in that process, and leaning into what the next 5 years is going to be for us.
Very cool. And very timely response too. In our next segment, we're going to talk about, or you're going to talk about your journey with your state association, the
Yeah.
TIAAA, and with the NIAAA, and that QPA. That's a great talking point in itself. Before we do that, and we'll do this also at the end of the podcast. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more about your program or even about the
Yeah.
QPA, what's the best way that someone can get a hold of Reid McFadden?
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is my email. I have my phone hooked to my hip pretty much at all times. So reach out to me on email. My office phone number is on our website as well. You can follow me on Instagram at Reid McFadden, or our athletic program at CIA Mustangs. Shoot me a message on either one of those. I would love to connect and share. I'm extremely passionate about educational-based athletics. I tell people all the time I have the best job in the world, and I would love to share more about our program, more about my passions and kind of the things that we have going on here, and things that are coming up for Currey Ingram.
Oh, that's so cool to hear. Now that I'm retired, you can actually say that you have the best job in the world, because I always said that I had
Yes.
the best job in the world. Um, we're going to take another break, but like I said, we are coming back. Our guest today is Reid McFadden, the Director of Athletics at Currey Ingram Academy. Let's take that break. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Of course, we use it for home games, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Their products are tremendously versatile, and their customer service is just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We'd also like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's at Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others. And it was a great experience. It's reasonably priced, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're earning your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA for more information. The Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. And we want to say thanks to Gipper. Your students are on social media, and if they don't see content that is celebrating their accomplishments and promoting your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. Their team will have you creating world-class content in seconds, and it's so easy, even I can do it. The website is Gipper.com. Make sure you visit today. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Reid, we have a lot of, let's say, younger ADs, definitely newer ADs that listen to the podcast, and I think it's important for us to share the journey that all of us take with our state association and with the NIAAA. Now, I've said many times, I didn't get involved even at the state level, until I was 50 years old. I'd been a football coach and also an AD, probably in that order. But when I finally got involved with our state association here in Florida, it was just tremendous. I use the expression I drank the Kool-Aid and moved through that, and I'm still involved. So, what is your journey? How did you get involved with your state association, and how did you get involved with NIAAA?
Yeah. So I didn't get involved in the TIAAA or the NIAAA until Kelly came to Currey Ingram. She was introduced to Mike Elson, who was the longtime athletic director at Christ Presbyterian Academy, which is literally right around the corner from here at Currey Ingram. And so she got connected to Mike, and he really encouraged her to get involved. She went to the national conference, I believe it was in San Antonio in 2012, was her first conference. Talked very highly about it, and I got plugged in the next year. I think my first one was 2013, and when we went to Anaheim, and started taking LTCs, and really just fell in love with learning about the NIAAA and learning about athletic administration. And from there, have not missed a state conference or a national conference. Have taught a couple workshops at the national level. I'm a state faculty here in Tennessee, and just love the organization. It's afforded me the opportunity to meet athletic administrators across the state and across the nation that have become really good friends. Like I said, I went through the QPA cohort. I've also done the leadership cohort through the NIAAA. I'm a state coordinator for Tennessee. We just wrapped up the state coordinator summit just a couple weekends ago. So I'm very thankful for both the TIAAA and NIAAA and those organizations for allowing me to grow and learn. I got my CMAA about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's been just a tremendous experience.
Thanks for sharing how that all played out. As you first started taking those LTI courses, I'm not going to ask you to name and match name with number. Um, Usually there's one of two reactions. Boy, this is really cool information. I want to bring it back to my school. Or, oh my goodness, we're not doing this. I really need to bring this back to my school. So, which one, and maybe both, did you have?
I would say it was a mix of both. I was extremely intimidated by some of the things in the 500 level courses that we were probably not doing. I had no idea that we were liable for certain things. But at the same time, I was inspired. My first course was taught by Lee Green and Peg Pennepacker. And I was inspired by those two incredible people to become better at what I do, making sure that we were following best practices. So while I was intimidated by the content, I was inspired to bring it back to Currey Ingram and make sure that we were doing what we needed to do to become a better athletic program.
Um, the CMAA can sometimes be intimidating for those that are considering it. And I'm telling you right now, it should not be. Okay.
Yeah.
I always like to tell folks that you are already doing something at your school that would
Mhm.
make a great CMAA project. Maybe it's with students or coaches or parents or facilities or anything. You
Yeah.
don't have to come up with this, pie in the sky idea for your CMAA project. Um, Going back in your professional development, what were your thoughts as you were approaching that CMAA, and how did you end up settling on what became your project?
Yeah, so I was extremely excited from the time that I got into NIAAA. I wanted to earn my CAA, wanted to earn my CMAA. I did not go to school and get my master's. So I felt like earning those two certifications would kind of help validate who I was. And so I knew that I needed to kind of lean in and figure out, okay, what is this? Um, and Kelly was encouraged to lean into something that she was already doing. So she encouraged me to do the same thing. In my project, I did it on a social emotional curriculum that I had developed for our student athletes. It's called Mankind, and it's about a 13-week course, leadership course, where I walk our student athletes through our core values of Mustang Athletics, the 8 core feelings um, from Sage Shell Counseling and Chip Dodd. I do it around our basketball season, and our homecoming is during basketball. So we throw in some etiquette things on different things we can use with the boys and how to treat dates going to homecoming, different things like that. And so I used Mankind as my CMAA project. And it really just came out of a passion for developing students for life outside of Currey Ingram. And so it was a pretty easy project for me. I was a little intimidated. I thought it was going to have to be a written project, but I was one of the first ones that could do the presentation for the project. So anybody that's considering their CMAA, I would highly encourage it. While it could be intimidating, just look around. Some of the things that you're doing around your school, you can use and formulate into presenting that project.
Absolutely. And, I highly recommend the oral presentation format too. When I did my CMAA, that wasn't an option. And I really enjoyed writing it, but had it been available, I would have been all over that oral
Yeah.
presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and if you're listening out there, if you're, preparing for your CAA exam, or you're ready for that CMAA, every single state has a state coordinator for LTI and for certification. So start there. Go to your state website, find out who the coordinator is, and direct your questions to them. But at the same time, you can also reach out, reach out to Reid, reach out to me. I was on the National Certification Committee for many years, and I still, I help people prepare for the exam. I unofficially evaluate and help with CMA projects. So you have resources out there. If you're listening to this, don't think that, oh no, I can't do this. Very cool stuff.
And I will encourage those that are thinking about it. When I was going through both the CAA exam and the CMAA project, I was intimidated just by all of the steps and the procedures to get that certification. But what I quickly realized that your state association, the national organization wants you to be certified. And so they're going to give you the resources and tools to support you along the way. So reach out to anybody, like Jake said, in your state or at the national level, because they want you to obtain certification, and they want you to be the best version of yourself in your school.
Oh, I love it. Great message. Thanks for sharing that. Well, Reid, this has been very cool, spending some time with you, getting to know you a little bit better. But we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. Now, you certainly know your way around the world of athletics, but we're going to take our final break, hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsored this segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 items in the toolbox. So let's take that break. And when we come back, we're going to see what Reid McFadden puts into his new athletic director toolbox. We want to say thank you to Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. Athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys is going to connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're sitting with a frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Reid McFadden. He's a certified master athletic administrator. Also has completed the quality program assessment, the QPA, for his school, which is even more elite than being a CMAA. And his school is Currey Ingram Academy in Tennessee. Tremendous background in athletics, but right now I'm challenging him to send out a rookie AD on their first job, but I'm only going to let him put 3 items in their toolbox. So, Reid, what 3 items are going into your new athletic director toolbox?
Yeah, well, for my athletic director toolbox, these three things I carry with me each and every day. Each and every decision that I make, I try to remain locked in tight to these three things. Those three things are curiosity, empathy, and courage. And I believe strongly if you carry those three things in your toolbox, you'll be successful. And I would love to dive in just briefly on each of those three things. Curiosity. When our students come to us after the school day, we see them in a wide ranging emotional state. So we have to be curious about where they are coming into the field house, where they're coming into our practices as we prepare for games. Where are they? What happened during their school day? Thinking back to my assistant coach when I coached the girls team, like if you have to be curious about what they care about, helping to build that trust and relationship. My favorite character of all time, Ted Lasso, says, "Be curious, not judgmental." And I really believe that curiosity lays the foundation for trust and relationship. The second one, empathy. We have to understand perspectives, not only for our students, but our families as well. And as an athletic administrator, you're going to have extremely tough conversations with parents and coaches, and being able to have a perspective and show empathy, no matter the situation, is going to be extremely important. I just had a conversation the other day with a parent about their student who was struggling and had to show a lot of empathy and understand where they were coming in as well. Then the last thing is courage. Being brave yourself, being courageous in your decision making. You're going to have to make tough decisions. It's not going to please everyone. But as long as you're leaning into doing what you feel is right for the student, for the team, and for your program, things will always work out in your favor. And then be courageous in your delegation. That is something that I've had to learn, and I'm still learning, is how to be courageous in my delegation, whether it be to my assistant athletic director or delegate to coaches or people that I have on my team. That's an extremely important part of the toolbox. So curiosity, empathy, and courage are what I would recommend adding to your athletic administrator toolbox.
Wow, I love them. I think curious. Again, the Ted Lasso reference. Anything Ted Lasso is great. Um, I think I can find one of our pre-existing categories for that. Curiosity, try new things, etc. But the other two, I'm gonna have to go back and look in the archives. Those might be the first time, at least in a long time, that people have mentioned that. And they're great tools. Absolutely, something we
Yeah.
want to have in the toolbox. That's why we do this, to get that variety of tools. Reid, thanks again for coming on one more time. If somebody wants to reach out and connect with you, find out how you do things at Currey Ingram, or find out more about the QPA, what's the best way that they can connect?
Yeah, would love to connect with you. My email, reid.mcfadden@curreyingram.org. My office number is on our website, curreyingram.org. You can find everything about Mustang Athletics on our athletics page. You can follow me at Reid McFadden on Instagram and Twitter, or I guess I should say X now. And then you can follow our athletic program at CIA Mustangs on X and Instagram as well. I would love to connect. Love to share about our athletic program, answer any questions you have about CAA, CMAA, the QPA, any NIAAA cohort. I'm very passionate about educational-based athletics and really just want to be there for those that are getting into it or connect if you've been into it for a long time.
Well, thanks again for sharing with our listeners. Tremendous resources you gave us today, and all the best with the rest of the fall season. And we'll look forward to connecting in person in Austin at the national conference.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. I appreciate the time today.
Oh, you bet. For listeners, we appreciate you. And just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices. So we hope to catch you next time on another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you later.